Welcome back to the Keys to Success podcast. This is your host, Tilisa Stubbs. I'm so excited about this episode today. But first, before I get into our special guest, I got to check in with my co-host, Deba Douglas, my girl. Deba, how's your week been this week, girl?
It has been really, really good. Oh my gosh, I feel like I have more time on my hands, and it's only because my team is freaking amazing. Like, hands down.
Girl, I'm telling you, like Debbie, you got a strong team, but you've been kind of like cultivating your team for some years now.
Oh my gosh. It's been
And
so worth it.
girl, and I know it's not easy. So I'm happy for you. I'm happy that you got some time for yourself. Relieve some of that stress
Yes,
off of you.
yes. What about you? You just had a wonderful birthday on Thanksgiving. How was that? What a blessing to have a birthday on Thanksgiving.
You know what? It was good. And I don't know, for some reason this year, my 35th birthday, I just feel like I'm just at like a state of peace. I'm at a state of peace. I'm not trying to impress anybody. I'm not trying to live up to anybody else's standards. I'm in my lane. I'm doing what I enjoy. My kids are good. My relationship with my husband is good. I'm just like, man, I'm like really happy. No, I don't have everything all together. No, I'm not financially free yet. But I feel rich already.
There you
So
go. That's where it
yeah,
starts. That's where it
yeah.
starts.
So, anyways, without further ado, oh my goodness, you guys, we have a good friend of mine. This guest right here is dynamic in so many ways. From being an immigrant from Jamaica, you know, y'all love me some Jamaica. Being an immigrant from Jamaica and moving to the United States, starting a real estate business, and really having to go through some hurdles and some challenges in order to get to where she's at right now. Keleisha Carter is amazing in every single way. She's killing it raising capital. She's killing it in the Airbnb space. She's doing all these things, but I don't want to like take away your thunder, Keleisha. So if you will please tell the people, who is Keleisha Carter?
Man, I think you said it all. I love the intro. I love it because sometimes I go in and there's so much things to talk about because as entrepreneurs, we wear so many different hats. But you touch on the key thing. I think one of the main things I'm trying to focus more on presenting myself like, hey, I'm an immigrant. I'm not like the others. And I'm meaning that in a good way, guys, because there's so many of us that are here in the US and we come here and we're here to work and we're taught that we need to work super hard. But then a lot of us don't come from a background of wealth per se and how to build it in a new country. So to be able to share that experience and to know that I went through it, to be like, hey, it is possible. Whatever is it that you want to do, you don't have to be doing this type of job forever. Right? It is so possible. So I want to be able to use my platform to share that as well. And as you said, like raise money. We all need money. So I want to raise all the money and then just do short-term rentals and whatever other opportunities come my way. I just assess it to see if this aligned with my bigger goal. If it is, I just do it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And I love the fact that you did shoot out being an immigrant because it is true. Being an immigrant, your parents automatically tell you need to be a doctor, you need to be a lawyer, you need to be a nurse. Like those are things that you're supposed to go do. And then when you decide to do something totally different that goes left from all the way from like real estate, like that's such a risky thing. You don't know who's really making money. You don't know what you're doing. And then to do it and to be so successful, like talk to us about who is Keleisha? Like, how did we start? How did this all become who you are?
Man. So when I was back home, I was doing marketing because I have a bachelor's in marketing. And with corporate, I was like, yeah, this is just not my thing. You suck the life out of me. But I was also in a stage where I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my life. And I was being surrounded by people in corporate where they were sitting down just complaining, I hate this job. I hate this job. And I'm like, well, if you hate it, leave, go find something else. But that entire energy was just sucking the life out of me. And I think that time the year was for the year of risk. I didn't know what it is, but I just had a feeling that I need to take more risk because I was the person who I had everything figured out. I knew a plan A, B, C for my future. That time I didn't. So I got an opportunity, like friend suggested, like, hey, come here. And I was like, okay. But I was like, no, like it's not safe. Like there's too much risk involved. And I'm telling you guys, like I prayed. And I just prayed for months. And I was like, God, give me a sign if I should do this. And I kept getting signs and signs. And I kept saying, give me another sign. But I woke up one morning and I got the feeling, handed my resignation. And after a couple of weeks, I moved to the States and I was here with family for a couple of times. Then went over to Martha's Vineyard to work in the restaurant for a summer. And I just never left. That was 5 years ago. Never left.
Wow.
Just went in, got the first job as hostess in. And bear in mind, when I got there, I didn't have the job. She told me I had the job. But when I got here, I didn't have the job. So I was sitting at home paying rent from my pocket with no job. And I was like, okay. But long story short, started off hostessing and in hostessing, bussing tables, from bussing tables, food running, from food running, turn into manager, from manager, quit, deuces, bye. I'm gonna do my own thing.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
It's like starting from the bottom, now we're here.
No,
Like,
listen, that's my theme song.
Okay,
Yeah.
I want to know more. Like, what happens next? Like, what's the next? Tell me more.
So next is that I got up and for when I quit my job last year in 2022, I've never really enjoyed the summer on the vineyard. So I'm because I'm always working. I was working 80 plus hours, 6 days a week for 5 years straight, sometimes no days off. So that was the first summer since I moved to the US where I actually enjoyed the summer because I was just working. So I enjoyed the summer. And then after that, I was like, yeah, it's time to go because I don't need to be here anymore. Because just seeing everyone in my face be like, oh my God, are you going back? And everyone knew me as a manager, all that stuff. I was like, I just need a whole different environment. And I wanted to go somewhere where I didn't know anyone, where could literally start over. And I was okay with that. Wow. So I moved to Tampa, and in moving to Tampa, I was like, yep, you got to start over. This is it. And I was like, now I got to make new friends and all that stuff. And I was like, oh my God. But the hustle was real because I made sure to attend every single real estate meetup I knew was happening in Tampa. Because I'm like, I'm going to meet some people. And it's crazy. My friends now, a lot of them I've met at the real estate meetup.
Wow.
Yeah. And I want you to talk about real quick, Keleisha. I want to take a step back because I know that when you were working at the restaurant, you were also talking to people, talking to some of the people that were coming there to eat, building relationships. And so tell us how that restaurant job actually ended up helping you within your real estate business.
So with hostessing, you're at the door. You're greeting people, you have a wait list, you got to be talking to persons as well. When they're upset, you got to know how to think on your feet quickly to like calm them down. But I've managed to, just by having those conversations with persons, I've been able to talk about what my goals are or what I'm thinking of doing. Sometimes at that point too, I still wasn't even sure. It was just a little bit. I was just curious. I would just throw it out there. I'm looking to get into real estate. And then they'll firstly assume and think it's like a real estate license. And I was like, no. I want to buy houses and renovate them. And then person will be like, oh, I'm an agent, blah, blah, blah. Or my husband does this. And then, hey, husband, come over. Meet Keleisha, blah. All that stuff. So in standing at the door and greeting persons, I learned about like different things with real estate. And I think how it helps me now in my business is that it helps me to think on my feet a lot with pressure, as well as like dealing with different people with different personalities. Like as much as I want to tell you like, I got to learn how to like zip it. And I try to instill that even in my team. Like when you upset me, I was like, breathe, And then my approach is just different with my team, just how I deal with people, working under pressure and stuff like that. It has helped a ton because, girl, I advise anyone, like, yes, restaurant industry is bad, but work in a restaurant space. That's gonna teach you so much your personal skills, all that stuff. Like, give that a try.
Oh yeah.
Give you some patience for sure. So and I want for people to know that, like, obviously coming to America as an immigrant, getting into I didn't even know that this was so high. Getting into the real estate space is not a walk in the park. And so talk about what were some of the obstacles that you faced personally as you're trying to purchase real estate and how that relates to you being an immigrant.
Yeah. So that's a great question too. What I would before I even answer that is just let anyone know, like, not because you don't have a friend or a family member who's in real estate, information is on the internet. When I got here, I did not know a soul who was doing it. I simply went on Google and typed in how to invest in real estate. I didn't even put the immigrant thing on it because I didn't know that was going to be an issue. So in just Googling those things and research, building my knowledge and stuff, it has helped me to know what questions to ask. And in doing my research, that's how I stumbled upon the first challenge, knowing that, okay, I can't get a loan because we are all taught that the right way to buy a house, you do 20% down, traditionally, all that stuff. And I was like, okay, I got it. I know what strategy I'm going to do. I know which market I'm going to invest in. Now I need the financing. So in talking to different lenders, I'm like, oh, this is a thing. Because my first thing that I learned, I fill out the application. I'm like, yes, it's about it. I fill out the application. They run my credit. And then when they start asking for ID, I was like, I only got my passport and my social. She was like, wait, but do you have a US government issued ID? And I was like, no, I don't. She's like, that's going to be a problem. I can't give you a loan. And from there, I'm like, okay. And then that's where the path starts, where me talking to different lenders and realizing the different hiccups that I'm encountering. But in going through that process, I've actually learned as well, I don't let every single lender run my credit. Because after talking to one lender, when I talk to a second lender, I'm like, hey, this is my situation. Can you do it or not before you run my credit? I'm not filling out an application. So talking to multiple lenders helped me to figure out what questions to ask next. And each lender was a stepping stone to the solution. And in talking to one lender, oh my God, I wish I would remember his name. He was like, you know what? He was a broker. He's like, I can help you. My girlfriend was in a similar situation. She was an immigrant in the service industry. So he gave me the idea, and he's like, hey, here's what you're gonna do. Go get an LLC, right? And if you can get your pay stub to reflect your tips, do that. So I'm like, okay, that's very interesting. So what you basically do, because in the service industry, a lot of persons don't want to pay tips.
Right.
So they prefer the cash. So you can always work out with your employer you will pay more tax, but you put your tips on your check for a period of time. So you do that. And then he's like, this is what you do. And then go create an LLC. And the LLC that you create, it should be with a partner that has either a green card or is a US citizen.
Wow. Wow.
So shout out to that lender. I wish I would remember his name. I know but his number is in my phone, but he was the one. So I would run into a different hiccup and I'm calling him. And he's like, okay, he would ask his girlfriend. And then the girlfriend would tell him, and then he would come back and tell me all the stuff.
Wow. So talk to us about the first deal.
Oh, the first deal. That was my favorite deal, my baby. Listen, when they say don't get emotionally attached to the deal. Never. And I think I was to that deal because it was our first deal. And we know it could have been like a cash cow. But it was in Memphis, Tennessee. We bought this from an off-market, as an off-market deal from a wholesaler. and it was like down to the studs, like no framing, like you could see the plumbing on the floor, roof missing, all that stuff. We paid $25,000 for it, and then with that, we spent about 57 to 59,000. We estimated, and I'm gonna drop some. I've never really shared this publicly. We estimated the ARV 100,000. Now, this project should have been, oh, we lost her. Oh, she's back.
Oh.
This project should have been the BRRRR method. So for those who don't know, BRRRR is buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. So we had it all figured out, had the lender that would help us with the refinance. At month 5, when we're like almost finished, the lender who told us that they could refinance, be like, hey, we can't do the refinance because my partner only had 1 year of self-employment tax return and he needed 2 years of self-employment tax return.
Oh my gosh.
So it's like, we're like, we got so excited and we're like, no. So we're like, you know what, we want to keep this house. So we start shopping around for more lenders. We went to like Lima One Capital. Lima One was like, yeah, we can do it, run our credit. And then here's the crazy part. When they run our credit, be like, they can do it. They're like, oh, we can't. Why not? You got too many hard inquiries. I'm like,
I'm trying to find a way to refi.
Right.
Exactly. So I'm like, if you're looking at everyone that I'm trying to for our refi, there are lenders within the past month. They're like, yeah, we can't use it, but everything else is good. And I'm like, okay. And it just got to like month 7. And the hard money lender was like, hey, we can't wrap your interest payment in the loan anymore. If you hit month 8 and you can't refinance, you're going to have to be out of pocket.
Wow.
So during that entire time, or we weren't paying interest to the hard money lender because we had all planned it's going to be a BRRRR. He would wrap the interest payments in the loan. So we were still at this point 0 out of pocket. We ended up like had to make a decision like, hey, we just have to sell this, like, because we're not coming out of pocket. We're gonna have to sell it. So we pivot, furnished the house, went in, did some nicer finishes. So we listed the property for 117. Here's the kicker part. When we listed it for 117, we had someone came in, loved the house. That house, when that buyer came in, was appraised for 125,000. Wow. Now that same appraiser, when we did our appraisal, appraised the house for 100,000.
Wow.
Yeah, girl. If you're thinking what it is that, and the thing is, my team knew that this particular appraiser, he's like, hey, he's not going to be in favor of us. And he said that he's not going to be in favor of us. And I was like, huh? He's like, Kels, he's not going to be in favor of us. And I was like, wow, really? But I was like, you know what? If he still give us 100, we're still good because that's the number we're working with.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, it was the same one when the seller came in and he appraised the house for $125,000.
Wow.
Wow. Wow. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
And so you guys bought the property for 25,000. You put how much in rehab?
58. We put 59 in rehab. Okay. So we're all in about 87,000. And then, so when we sold for 125 minus all the costs and all like closing costs, agent fee, all of that, we netted about $35,000 or $38,000.
That's so good, Deborah. Isn't that good for your first flip?
That is awesome for your first flip. Especially you didn't even intentionally want it to be a flip. You wanted to be a rental, but to make it and say, you know what, I understand my situation. I had to pivot. And that's what the beautiful thing about real estate is that you can go in wanting it one way, but because there's so much equity, you have the leverage to switch it in the middle of the plan and do something else and still come out okay.
Which is, and it's crazy because as a Jamaican, as an immigrant, seeing that money in my account, I've never seen that amount of money before. I started like calculating, what is this in JMD? And I was like, your girl, I'm like, my partner, we're like, we are rich, but we're like, nope, let's get another one. We're like, come on, let's go buy another house. If we can make that much money from one house,
yeah,
go buy another house.
It's definitely addicting. Okay, so I do have a question. So you were in the Martha Vineyards area, then you moved to Florida. How did we decide to buy a house all the way in Tennessee?
So we wanted to buy in Florida. But the money and our background, just by talking to people as well, we realized that we needed a whole lot more money because we thought we needed like $30,000. That time to buy a house in Florida, which it still is, you're looking at about 300,000, 400,000. And at that time, we thought that we would still need 25% down. Mm-hmm. So I was talking to another investor, which I met from Bigger Pockets, was talking to that investor, and they're like, hey, why don't you look in the Midwest? And I was like, the Midwest? What's in for me? I don't know what's the Midwest. So I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, look into these states: Memphis, Kansas City, Ohio, Detroit, Philadelphia. She's like, with the budget that you have, you can get a cheaper house for that and it will cash flow. Because we told her what we wanted to do. And we did that. But for us too, it was still overwhelming because we don't know anything about those states. So we went on like Bigger Pockets, did research. We went on Google to do research on the area. And then I had like a whole scrapbook, guys. A whole scrapbook on each state. I'm like, tell me everything that I need to know about these states. And then I would talk to different investors who are invested in those different states just to find out, why are you investing here? What strategy? What zip code should I focus on? How much money do I need? Do you have any recommendations for agents? Like I was doing all that stuff. And then we landed on, I think it took maybe a year of research. And we decided to invest in Memphis. And then from there, we're like, okay, it's no turning back. Get out of analysis paralysis. It's time to dive in.
Wow.
And we went straight into this.
Wow.
One thing that I love about you, Keleisha, and I hope that our audience is able to understand this, is that from the moment that you left, even before you left Jamaica, but when you touched down here in the United States, like it was all about taking action. Even if you didn't have everything figured out, even if you didn't know exactly what you wanted to do, like you just started taking action. And I want you to kind of talk about what sort of mindset do you need to be in to go into a space where you don't really know much, to be around people who you really don't know, and to just immerse yourself in this and be bold enough to ask questions. Like, where does your mindset have to be at in order to get there?
I would say really like there's no plan B. You have to have that thinking in your head, like, okay, I'm here. I don't have a backup plan. I got to take care of me. I got to take care of family, whoever it is that you guys have. Right. And I think when I got here, I'm like, I don't have a backup plan. If I got to go bus tables or clean toilets, you're going to have to do that because there's no other way for you to get some money. Right. And you're in a city that no one knows you. So no one cares. You don't care what anyone's going to think back home because you're like, hey, I just got to make this money. Yeah. Right. So you just got to do what you got to do. And I always hear this quote and I live by it from E.T. And he says, why do we always have to wait until we hit rock bottom to go 110%?
Woo. That's real. That's real.
And it's true. Like when you're comfortable, when you have a backup plan, you're like, But when you don't have a backup plan, it's with all of us. We give 110% because we're like this. We gotta figure this out.
Yeah, there's nothing else.
There's nothing else. So I think most times, a lot of persons, you won't give 100%. You will not unless you realize like deep down you don't have a backup plan. If you realize that you're in a negative for your bank account, your credit cards, you don't have a place to sleep, you're gonna be evicted. When you realize all odds are against you, that's when you kind of
Yep.
Yeah.
Keleisha, and you and I, we spoke about that one time too before when we were on the phone, because I was just like, girl, like I don't think that a lot of people have dealt with the level of adversity that, you know, some of us have dealt with. And I was like, maybe that's why we grind so hard. Like, I know what it's like to not be able to qualify for a hard money loan. Like, I have no choice. Like, I depend on private money. Like, some people just want to raise private money or whatever. Like, no, I kind of depend on it. So it's just a different mindset. I love that. Sorry, Debbie, you were going to say something.
You know, I just love this. I just want to say, in this moment of us having this conversation about real estate, and I think it goes a little bit deeper than just real estate. Keleisha, I love the fact of how you were saying, like, okay, I understand I can't do real estate where I'm at, but that's not going to stop me. So I'm going to do the research, learn, and figure it out. And it's never this beautiful piece of paper that gives me the right way, plan A, and then you go to step 2, step 3. It doesn't work that way. Like you just explained how messy it looks, how confusing it could be. Then you're kind of like, okay, do I do this? Do I not do this? There's not going to be a green light that says go. This is what you need. You just got to get in there, be messy, figure it out. And even while you were doing the burr initially that you thought it was going to be, it was still messy. And then you're like, oh my gosh, we thought we were going to do a rental. Y'all have to go back and do better finish outs and then turn around and get it ready. So as our listeners are listening to that, a lot of you guys are waiting to jump and waiting to do it because you want everything to be perfectly together. Like, I got to wait to get this money, or I'm waiting for this. There's no time to wait, because just like Keleisha and Tilisa mentioned, you just got to go and you just got to figure it out. Sometimes you're creating the plane and putting the plane together in the air, but that's because you're looking back, because I have nothing else to do. I have no other option but to give it 100. And when you do give it 100, then you're going to give it. You're not going to let yourself down. That's the thing you have to remember. I'm going to be with myself forever. I'm not going to let myself down. So let me go all the way in, because that's where the prize is.
And you know what's crazy that you mentioned that you will never be 100% ready, is that every book and God will tell you step 1, they'll give you an idea, guys, like nothing. Sometimes you're ready, you know what the plan is, but you get into it like it's, you signed the contract. Because I remember when we signed the first contract, we forgot all the knowledge.
Yes.
We forgot everything. We're like, oh, it's real. What do we do next? I don't know. And my partner was like, what do we do next? And we've done all this research before. So we just started asking our agent / contractor, and we're like, okay, what's the next step? He's like, okay, now you send over EMD. So we had like a note. So we're like, sign contract, step 1, sign contract, step 2, send EMD. We were like, okay, we're going to create our own 1, 2, 3 guide.
There you go.
See, as you go. And Keleisha, you brought up a really, really valid point I want to bring up really quick, is document your steps. So that you're not having to recreate the wheel, because you're going to have to do this again. And you don't want to have to sit there thinking like, what did we do the last time? And did we do this first? You can pull up that list and say, boom, 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 boom. And then you get to a point where you can now turn that into a standard operating procedure. And you can hand that over to somebody else on your team. And you can say, okay, now you do that. Right. And so it's key to just document those things. This was a really, really, good episode. Keleisha, I want you to just, people are on here and they're feeling stuck. They feel like they want to do it. They want to just jump into real estate, but they're scared, or they don't have everything together yet. What is one key? I know you've given us like a ton of gems. And so if you could just give us like one more key to success that can really be used like universally.
I don't know if this will be used universally, but this is just me. Just pray.
Ooh, yeah.
Say it again.
Say it again.
That's like the only thing I can say. It's really just pray. Whatever God that you believe in, just pray and ask for simply, hey, God, can you point me in the right direction of where I need to go? Can you give me the courage to make the step that I want to make I want to get into real estate, but I don't know what to do. Can you guide me to make that step? Could you put the right people in my life and the team to guide me through this process? That's all I want. Give me a sign. Like, my word for the past couple of months is faith. And people keep asking, I get that same question. And I was like, the only thing that's bringing me through each time, it is faith. It comes back to having faith and just praying. But when you realize it's really that, everything else will work out. Because you can have all the knowledge, as you said, be ready, and you can't take the step. But just pray. Give me a sign, and you'd be surprised. You get the sign in the most awkward moment, and you're like, and the light bulb goes off, and you're like, yep, I'm ready. Let's go.
Yeah.
That's so good. That is so good. Yeah. So powerful. Because even now, what I think I love hearing you say is that now you got the gems. You know this stuff. You know this. You're more of an expert. You were just on Bigger Pockets. Like, you know this. And for you to still say, I pray, I have faith, that speaks volume of who you are, your humbleness, your open, loving spirit, that even though I think I know what I'm doing, I still have to get on my knees and give God all the glory and give him. And I know where my faith comes from.
Bro, like I know we're wrapping up here, but a good friend of mine reminded me that why is it that when we want to get to a certain point in real estate, we want to buy more rental properties, we want this income, right? But we want, but we don't put God first in what we're doing. We want to make $20,000 in income from our business. But when you get that $20,000, are you giving back? What amount are you giving back? Are you leaving your what do you call your tithes and offering, or giving back to charity or whatever it is? Are you leaving that last minute? Or you wait until that 20,000 is done? He's like, no, just as how you ask God for that 20,000, when you get it, make sure you take a percentage as the first person that gets paid.
Ooh, I hope y'all heard it. Look,
yeah, that was good. That was good. That was good.
Pay your time.
That's good.
That's all we're saying.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so how can people follow you, get connected with you? Like, how can we still be best friends?
Instagram, YouTube, it's at Keleisha Carter. So for those who are listening, it's KELEISHACARTER. Yes, you can also find me on Facebook, but I will fastly respond on Instagram, and definitely subscribe to my YouTube channel.
Yes. And yes, she has a YouTube channel, and she also has a podcast called Money Mondays. Look, we got to throw all that out there. She also has a ton of digital products on her website. So if you guys want to just freshen up about private money, or look at some of the deals that she's done and how they were able to put them together using private money, Keleisha does all the things. If you want to lend her your money, Keleisha will take it. Well, she might. I don't know. We don't take everybody's money, so it just kind of depends. So she might take your money. I don't know. But,
love it. No, I love it.
Keleisha, this has been amazing. Thank you so much, Fran, for joining the podcast, for gracing us. Sorry, y'all. Gracing us with your beauty and your presence and your humbleness. Like Deba said, you've got such a good heart. You're so vibrant. Yeah. And obviously you attract that because everybody is just like infectiously like head over heels over you. So thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you guys for having me. This is good. Like three black women.
Yeah.
Come on.
Killing it. Hey.
Don't play with us. Yes.
For real.
Until next time, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Keys to Success podcast. Thank you for subscribing, for liking, for commenting. As always, we love to hear what you guys want to talk about. So make sure that you email us at keystosuccesspodcast@gmail.com with your request. And we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye, guys.